You don't believe in law and order. You don't believe in fiscal responsibility. Get the fuck out.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of the Blue Sedition podcast. Yeah, that means we have
big 3-0.
Yeah, big 3-0. That doesn't mean we have 29 other episodes. They are all on YouTube. They're also on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your silly podcasts. So yeah, be sure to give us a follow, a like, a subscribe, or whatever, and check out our back catalog. We got a lot more of the same today. I'm Nate Brady alongside my co-host. That's Mike Smith.
Howdy, everybody. How's it going?
Howdy. How is it going? Man, this is a question we ask ourselves at the beginning of every episode, and the answer is always fucking bad.
I used to enjoy us recording on Mondays because there was only so much news that could happen over the weekend that we would actually have to cover in like a scramble.
Yeah.
Now that we're doing Tuesdays, I feel like Monday is just the worst news cycle day ever.
Monday into Tuesday morning is a shitstorm, right? It's just, I can't believe the stuff that we have to cover today, and we have to omit a bunch of things because we only have an hour for this. Where do you want to begin is the question.
Boy, I don't even really know, man. It's all going to be very Trump centric, obviously. So we might as well just get into some of his nonsense that he's been trying to do with executive orders. So I was just going to say that he tried to fire the Federal Elections Commission chair, who was just voted in the chair on January 31st of 2025. Like, this is. Her name is Ellen, I don't know, Weintraub? Something like that.
Sounds right. Sure.
Yeah,
Weintraub.
And won an election and is heading the FEC, and Trump tried to fire her via email. At least she's pushing back.
Yeah.
She's saying this isn't how this is done, and there's a legal way to do it, and this ain't it. Yeah. Like a lot of good quotes out of her.
Yeah, exactly. There's a legal way to replace FEC commissioners. This isn't it. The FEC is an independent regulatory agency that enforces federal campaign finance law, LOL, which includes overseeing campaigns for the House, Senate, President, and Vice President. Now, we can make the argument, I think both you and I could successfully make the argument that, well, this fucking position doesn't matter because, I mean, what did we just see in the last year of elections? We saw in Democratic primaries ridiculous spending from certain lobbies. We saw Elon Musk spend $250 million plus to get Donald Trump elected. So what exactly is
probably illegally in a lottery scheme that was definitely not legal.
Sure.
I mean, it's not just federal spending that the FEC is in charge of. Obviously, they're trying to make sure that they're in charge of training people to do federal elections and ensuring that voter registry rolls and things like that are all being taken care of in a nonpartisan way, which is the whole draw of the commission itself. And I have to say, this is not surprising, but definitely scary, because it's going to call into question every election from now on. Is it going to have the taint of Donald Trump's, fingers all over it? And are our elections truly free moving forward? Remember, he was quoted on the campaign trail as saying, "Vote for me in 2024, and you'll never have to vote again."
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be the general topic of our, I think, podcast today, which is that the party of law and order doesn't really care much for the law. This is an illegal dismissal. It is going to be rejected by federal courts if it comes to that, and he's going to ignore that. In fact, we can just go right into the big story, which I know I have a link for here somewhere.
Yeah,
Uh,
in the mountain of links that we shared.
yeah. Well, why don't you kick it off and I'll find the link.
I'm sure that what you're talking about is obviously the myriad uh, executive orders that Trump has issued over the last few days or weeks, rather, at this point, and the judicial outcomes of those.
Right.
Because, of course, they were going to be taken up at court over and over again since they're obviously illegal. And courts have upheld over and over that, for instance, well, the high level is that they are in fact illegal. The firings at USAID and the trying to cut off the funding that empowers USAID and other um, agencies that he's done via the executive order. We always knew that that was not within his jurisdiction or power set, and Congress controls the purse. They have the power of the purse, and so the courts upheld that. They said you cannot make these moves. You cannot. These executive orders are illegal in practice. And then stepping forward and saying, right these wrongs that you have ordered, and given them deadlines to accommodate.
Yeah, and I mean, as you can see, why we're having such a hard time following along. Look at this timeline from just
Yeah.
hours ago for today. I mean,
Yep.
Musk
No,
is
and you can see some of these. I mean, if you're not watching and you're only listening, some of these headlines are as simple. It's like Trump administration ordered to restore websites of U.S. health agencies taken down. So this is like where they had a standing order from the president of, if you include anything about like racial bias or anything that they would call woke, you
Mhm.
had to take
Right.
those websites down with no pushback ostensibly from the congressional arm. And judges have said, no, put them back by the end of the day. um and yeah, it's like we're just drinking from the fire hose here. It's all of this all of this news comes out so quickly, and it's all so uh big. It's all just big news. It feels like I'm experiencing whiplash.
Yeah, so this is the biggest news I think of today or the last couple of days is that amid all these court losses, the Trump administration is talking of just ignoring the rulings of these federal courts, which by the
Right.
way, there is really no precedent for. We can go back in history and find very, obscure examples of when this has happened in the past. One time with Abraham Lincoln during a rebellion, and another
Right.
time, Andrew Jackson decided, he was just going to not enforce the policies to protect the Cherokee Nation. I mean, these
Right.
are, I mean, obviously the
That's
Andrew
how
Jackson
far
thing
back you have to go.
that was 1832, and then the other time with Abraham Lincoln is in 1861, and then more recently, if you're looking in the modern era, this just hasn't happened. And with
Right.
you can call
And in
out
fact,
two
we've seen examples to the contrary.
right.
Actually, I remember in Nixon's cabinet, he tried to basically do the same thing, where he said, "Well, fine, you control the powers of the purse, but I'm going to cut off and just not give the money you've appropriated to, I forget which agency it was," and just threatened that they would have no dollars in their budget. And
Nixon's another good example of there was a Supreme Court order
yeah,
to turn over the Watergate tapes, and he did it. He actually did it,
yeah,
and it led to his resignation. And instead of what would Trump do in that situation? No, I burned them already.
right,
What are you going to do about it? Oh, and then he'd he'd go at him. So and then there was George W. Bush, I think, more recently, who went along with a court ruling, federal court ruling, um, on prisoner rights in Guantanamo Bay.
right.
So there's a ton of examples in the modern era where, hey, a president wanted to do something, either federal court or Supreme Court said absolutely not, buddy, and checked
Yeah,
that power, and
right,
those people just listened. So we don't know what happens when the president doesn't listen.
right. Um, And I wanted to circle back to Nixon because I think that that's the most recent one where there was a challenge where Nixon said, I'm going to do this, even though I was told not to. But at the time, I had to look it up. We did have a Democratic majority in the Senate and the House. And so they basically threatened to impeach him if he kept going with this, even though he was
right.
defying a court order. We do not have that luxury this time around. I think that, in fact, I posted this on Blue Sky earlier where I said, the checks for this particular situation where a president has been ruled that one of his actions or one of his orders is unlawful or unconstitutional, the only check left is impeachment by the House and Senate.
Right.
The House and Senate aren't going to do that. So laws don't matter. I mean, what is a court going to? Court has no enforcement arm. The enforcement arm of the court are the other branches of government.
And you have to couple this with the Supreme Court recently, during the end of Biden's administration, basically ruled the president has supreme power when it comes to
absolute immunity.
When it comes to, but don't worry, that's only when it comes to official acts as president. So that literally means they just ruled that him defying other federal court orders is still him acting in the official capacity in his role as president of the United States, making defying federal court orders legal.
It's part of his immunity ruling. You're right. And it's sort of a modern take. I say modern because here we are, but it's a take on like jury nullification. They're basically just saying that we don't care that the courts could be ruling this correctly. We will not enforce that law. And we're going to let the president do in his official capacity anything he orders us to do.
Right.
And so that means the Constitution doesn't matter. It means laws don't matter. And he'll never be held accountable for this. And in fact, I don't think that they're going to so there's a deadline set for today where a federal court, I believe in the Fourth Circuit, had ruled that that the Trump admin needs to roll back this USA thing as a court order. Well, okay, what happens when midnight today comes and goes and that doesn't happen? What's the next step? They're not appealing. They're not taking it to SCOTUS. They're just saying, I'm ignoring you.
Right.
Federal court.
Right. They're not. Yeah. I mean,
what do you do?
They've already set it up, right? So we know JD Vance came out a day or two ago. Now, by the way, JD Vance, Yale law graduate, came out and said basically the judicial branch has no right to check the power of the executive branch.
It's not just JD Vance. It's congressmen and senators alike.
Well, yeah.
Have come out saying,
yeah, JD set it up.
We're not going to do it.
Yeah, JD set it up, and then it trickled down. You've got Mike Johnson now saying it, and to your point earlier, with the majority in the Senate and the House, there's nobody to hold them accountable. This is coming from the party that cares so much about the Constitution. This is literally a constitutional crisis. I mean, this isn't hyperbole. This is as big of a crisis as we've had in my lifetime.
Certainly in our lifetime, and almost certainly in what I would consider the history of the United States as it comes to the democracy that we have here. The only checks there to hold a president accountable is by Congress and the Senate by way of impeachment. That's and enforcing their other options. Like obviously Congress holds the power of the purse. They can elect to not do what the president wants to do by denying dollars or making it so that it's hard to enact their administration, as we saw with Obama and to a lesser extent with Biden. They just are unwilling to do that. But these are all sycophants to Trump, and they will do whatever they're told. Laws be damned. Constitution be damned.
So laws be damned, Constitution be damned. What are the legal consequences? I mean, like you said, there aren't really any for Trump. I mean, okay, what are you going to hold Trump in contempt of court? You're gonna fine him?
Yeah, that's
You know,
that. I think that is the next step. Is that when he violates this court order today, then
right?
I suppose the Trump admin, and to another extent, the President Trump, will be held in contempt of court for violating a court order. But who cares? Like, what do you do with that?
I mean, well, that normally lead.
They're
It
going to
starts.
treat it like a parking ticket that you
Well, it
just don't
starts
care
with
about.
fines, and then it usually goes to arrest warrants, and it'll never make it to that, as you and I both know. And even if it got close to that, then it would end up at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to say the federal courts have no authority to hold a sitting president who's acting within the official capacity of the United States of America as president, hold him in contempt of court. They just can't do it.
Right.
So,
I think it makes me wonder, though, can they hold other people accountable in the admin who are carrying out the orders of someone who is immune to everything? In the case of like USAID and Doge, can you hold Elon Musk accountable for violating a court order like in this case? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how you're going to get any civil servants or police or anybody to actually, go out and fulfill an arrest warrant against an Elon Musk. Probably got a security team that would rival a police station. So
yeah. I don't know what's next. I
don't know.
We're all it's just speculation at this point. Who knows what happens? I hope, at least in the last Trump administration, there were people in his ear that said, you can't do this. This is a bad look. This is bad for public perception. You're going to lose some support among the House and the Senate as well. So you just can't do this. In this case, so far, what we are seeing is, of course, CNN was reporting this earlier today, or maybe it was on yesterday, Trump's approval numbers are going up. People are enjoying him running amok. I don't know what other way to put it, but I mean, at least his base is charged. He's doing what he said he would do, right? But
yeah,
but the other point is, like, what has he actually done for anybody, for any of these people? Now we can point to a specific example of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. I think this is a big one that's come up recently. He's dismantling that. Doge is dismantling that. They're claiming it was $700 and something million of wasted budget, when the CFPB has returned, I think the number was, maybe it was in the order of billions. I don't know whether it was 2 billion or 20 billion. I'm forgetting the exact number. I think it was 21 billion, have returned that amount of money to consumers. That's what that agency does. So
who
far,
have ostensibly been ripped off, right?
Exactly.
This is consumer protection.
Exactly. So far, the only things that he has done is hurt the American people. Both we're talking at the pump, at the grocery stores. We're talking for consumer protections,
goods for certain
consumer goods.
That we talked about tariffs last week, and the de minimis exemption now being completely disbanded.
Right.
You can't hardly buy anything for less than $20, and it's not going to be here for more than a month now. Good luck if you buy anything on Temu. Like, none of that stuff's going to come. But how is this helping anyone? How is anybody enjoying the current state of being, where, like you said, groceries and gases they're going up nonstop with no end in sight? There is no plan for bird flu other than we're going to shut down NIH.
I mean, I literally have where was it? They moved profile around on me, and I just can't. I can't get it right.
We've got the old muscle memory.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, I mean, I have family members, unfortunately, people that I know that are just stoked right now. They're like, he's doing it. We're back, baby. Doing what? Like, what?
Yeah. No, I have people in my life who are diehard. Unfortunately, they used to be Republicans. Now they're Trumpins. They're,
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
cult.
yeah.
And they get federal subsidy money to help them live their lives, buy their groceries.
Sure.
And they're cheering louder than anyone. And I'm like, how are you going to pay your mortgage in a month or two when you have to pay for all your groceries and all your gas with none of the help from any of the federal government?
It's mind blowing.
It is. It's not good.
Uh,
And and I agree that the beating of the chest and the all of that is, it's posturing, but it's going to be temporary for everyone. No one is going to feel good in a couple of weeks.
no one. I mean, we're all going to be in big trouble.
Yeah. I mean, we're in California, obviously. Prices are a little more expensive, but a dozen eggs right now is $9.
Yeah.
Like, that's not sustainable for anybody.
No. I mean, and that, I mean, your eggs are in everything. The bakers are having problems. We just had ramen yesterday that had an egg in it, and the cost of the ramen was $2 more each than it was 4
And
months
it's because
ago.
of that. And I've been seeing that in the local restaurants too, where they have notices posted where they're like, because of the stark increase in the cost of eggs, certain dishes will have a surcharge levied again, like put on
Yeah.
them as well.
There's
I'm
literally,
like,
you see it now, egg surcharge on certain dishes. It's unbelievable.
we go to the same greasy. I've been going to the same Greasy Spoon restaurant. We love
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've been going there for 40 years, and they still have this $5 omelet that's great. And I went in there Friday or Thursday or something, and like the $5 omelet just has this little sign next to it that says $10 now. Sorry, like they can't.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
About it.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
They only serve eggs for breakfast, man.
There's a little cafe near an airport over here, near one of our regional, local airports, which, by the way, I just want to stay clear of altogether. Anyway, as we hear more crashes today, which we could get to later, but who has the time? And it's the same thing. $5 specials, couple eggs, toast. That's all I want. I can't eat the toast, but you know what I mean. Like, we want these little dishes, and now it used to be $5. It's $9.50. It's what we're like. We can't even go out to eat anymore.
And it's not inflation. It's not like they were chirping about inflation, during all of Biden's, 4 years. But like, that was a slow grind up and everything. And this is like basically a national emergency that's being ignored. They're letting the bird flu run rampant for all the farms and where they have the egg layers, and they have to end up culling hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of birds on farms across the country, and it's not going to get better.
And yeah, by the way,
there's no end in sight.
The people who try to counter me will say, well, that's the bird flu. I mean, that's not the president's fault. Well, it either is or it isn't. All right, because if it's Joe Biden's fault, it's Donald Trump's fault. But to an extent, and I've made this argument before, I have never said, whether it was during a Republican administration or a Democratic administration, that the president controls, for instance, gas prices, because that's one thing that every idiot brings up during every election. I can't believe gas prices are this much more expensive than they were that time, so we need a new president. The president has no impact on gas prices unless he levies tariffs against places where we import oil from. Are you an idiot?
Left to their own devices, the only thing a president can do to impact gas prices, that things like that where it's mainly from imports, is going to be by way of diplomacy and saber rattling, like you're threatening
national reserves, shutting down certain oil pipelines. There are things that can directly impact those.
Exactly. And I argue inaction is more what you will see that is the problem here. It's not that Trump caused bird flu or Trump caused the price of gases to go up, although he did in the case of tariffs, but he's not focused on that at all and has proposed no solutions, so it will not be improved.
Well, and in fact, he would.
Is that a simple enough thing that we can agree on?
He would prefer that to just shut down the agencies that would help wrangle a problem like this. As we know what's going on right now with NIH.
And NIH working directly with the farmers all across the country and trying to get like a vaccine figured out, but also just what to do if you suspect that 1, 10, however many of your birds are infected. Like, what should you do? And again, we make this argument a lot. They like the idea of the free market doing it. So you just say, those birds are kill a bunch of people, but then they'll learn, they'll stop buying.
Yeah. You'll learn. You won't
And
do
it's
that.
just like, please God, call those birds.
You won't do that again, will you, dead guy? Well, no, you're right. I guess the free market taught me a lesson.
Damn. Yeah, killing yourself with eggs to own the libs.
Guys, if you're
can I take a little aside here, because we
Okay.
were talking about NIH and like killing yourself to own the libs.
Yeah.
Did you see that there's a crazy measles outbreak in I think
Yes.
it's Idaho?
Was it Idaho?
No, that doesn't sound right now.
No, it was oh man, I'm trying to remember.
It was in the Midwest.
Well,
was it like Arkansas or something?
Well, this report from the Independent says that it's in West Texas, which definitely makes sense.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember reading about this. But this story is from today. Boy, many of those infected in Gaines County were young and unvaccinated children.
We're losing the thread here as a people.
We're losing was a good place to just stop. We're losing.
We are. I mean, ignoring the fact that the current administration is putting people into Health and Human Services and NIH and other departments that will directly impact cases like this and the messaging around it.
Yeah.
This is only going to get worse. And I think I put it on Blue Sky a week ago. I said, I personally am old enough to know people who have been crippled by polio. I am old enough that I know people who walk around with leg braces. I know people whose legs simply do not work and they're in wheelchairs because of polio. And measles is the tip of the iceberg. This is just going to get worse as children get older who have parents that are like this, who refuse to vaccinate them because they're worried about some specter that doesn't really exist versus this.
Right.
As this becomes more and more reality, I think that we're going to start seeing so many kids who are going to suffer because of the stupidity of their parents.
Yeah.
I get so angry about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fully vaccinated. You're fully vaccinated. Our kids are fully vaccinated. And the only issues I've ever had from vaccination is I believe it's caused wokeness.
Yes.
So empathy, sympathy, just general feelings about things.
Caring about people you've never met.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Okay, so guys, it's gonna get dumber from here. If you're, oh my God, it's gonna get so much dumber. Can we talk about let's interrupt the madness with some real stupidity?
Let's give me some real stupid.
You shared with me HR 1161, and
I sent it to you, and I think my text was, I wish this was just a dumb joke, but it's not.
This was referred to the Committee on Foreign Affairs. I'm about to pull this up. I can't even believe this is real. I'm going to read the headline for people just listening. This is HR 1161 to authorize the president to enter into negotiations to acquire Greenland and to rename Greenland as Red, White, and Blueland.
I mean, okay. On its face, very stupid, but also workshop that name, my guy. Buddy, I think is the name of this congressperson.
Representative Earl Carter from Georgia.
Nickname Buddy, says it in quotes.
Buddy Carter. Yep.
From Georgia.
Yep.
You got to workshop that name, my guy. Red, White, and Blue Land is the stupidest thing I ever heard. I just don't. That's so dumb. Also, this is not how any of this happens.
This isn't how it works. Is this how anything works?
This is not how anything works.
I mean, this is obviously just show. It's like, okay, we're going to allow him to talk about We're going to allow him to talk about negotiations, which, by the way, Greenland and Denmark are having none of this, right? Like nobody there
Yeah,
is having
Denmark is on the right. They say every day they're like, we're not going to negotiate. We're not going to enter conversations. This is not something that we're willing to discuss because it's such a farce on its face. And it makes me dig into stupid politics in Greenland, which I don't have time for. But
Nobody's got time for that.
There's a huge independence movement in Greenland where they're like, we don't want to be part of
Denmark, and certainly not the United States of America.
They're like, but first and foremost, we definitely don't want to be part of the U.S. Oh my god!
Oh my god! And then you have Trump saying stupid things like, "Oh, we'll trade Puerto Rico. Like we don't need Puerto Rico. That's fucking.
It's not even. That's not even how that works. Okay, so the last territories that the U.S. acquired were the Virgin Islands, is my understanding. I did some very quick googling here.
Okay,
they're the U.S. Virgin Islands, right? They were purchased by $25 million in gold. That's how long ago that was, by the way. It was in 1916 after the treaty was written to purchase it. So both parties had to agree to that. Okay. The Virgin Islands are like this, and Greenland is like this. Like the population difference alone is astronomical. Right. 25 million isn't going to cover it. 25 trillion is not going to cover it. Like, you guys are so worried about the national debt, and you're like, let's go buy an island. Let's buy a fucking continent, everybody. Like, what?
I mean, we are truly.
You don't believe in law and order. You don't believe in fiscal responsibility. Get the fuck out.
I mean, this is really interesting, though. Now that I'm looking, I mean, we all know, everybody who had social studies, who had just a little bit of history, knows about the Louisiana Purchase, but I feel like we were talking about Andrew Jackson and Lincoln earlier. Now we're talking about like the last time we were buying land. The Florida acquisition happened in 1819, where we obtained it through did we buy? No, through a treaty with Spain. I'm thinking, is this a circle? Is time?
Yeah, time is it's a big stupid circle. The thing that I'll point out too is that the last land grabs that the U.S. has done, like you mentioned, Puerto Rico, obviously Guam, the Virgin Islands, like these are all now U.S. territories officially, but they're not states, and they're certainly not getting the benefits that states get. Right. They get to participate in the general election, but they don't get to participate by having representatives in Congress. They don't get to participate by having senators. So they're really like, what would you call that? Where a nation occupies you and you don't have a say in their government.
Oh.
Are we English imperialism circa 18th century? Like, is that what's happening?
I mean, well, for sure we are. Looks like the Marshall Islands this is a list of.
Oh, well, good. You found a more conclusive list than I could find. Look.
And then there was the war. Puerto Rico and Guam were the Spanish-American War.
Right.
And then annexed and settlement with Britain and Germany. Panama Canal, leased from Panama, purchased from Denmark. Maybe that's where we're getting this. We got the Virgin Islands from Denmark, so why not? This is Trump. We've talked about this before. Somebody explained Trump Manifest Destiny, and he's trying his own version. Right. Like he wants Trump just wants to be on Mount Rushmore. He wants to be on the face of every bill of currency that we have. He wants to be responsible for expanding the U.S. empire, and he's doing this without any understanding of global politics. Like he has the understanding
or negotiation. Right. Yeah, it's all saber rattling and chest thumping.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the most ham-fisted attempt at trying to make a lasting name for yourself.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing, actually. Like
It's
how
insane to watch. Like, it's insane to live in these times. What's even more insane to me is people that don't know any of this is happening,
right.
that aren't
Yeah,
like paying attention to any of this, which is really hard to do in these
it's
times.
not. I think that we need to remember that there is a vast number of people in this country who
Mm,
just hate politics, and they
yeah,
hate politicians, and they just don't have time or money or anything to pay attention to this stuff. They're trying to pay rent and make meals and get their kids to school, and they literally have no time to deal with this bullshit. And I get that. Like that's I wish I could turn off from this as well, but like I'm not facing the same problems that these people are facing
right.
in that way.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
But I think that the other like the I think the more interesting thing here is like the game plan. The sycophants who are keeping him in power and letting him do whatever he wants. What's their game plan?
They
Let's
they are
let me
motivated.
pose.
Listen,
Go ahead.
I have some theories here.
Okay.
Um, right now things are very bad for these people, and they have been bad,
Right.
and they've been looking for somebody to blame, right?
Okay.
And the person that they were blaming for the last 4 years was Biden, right?
All right.
Because you just need somebody to
Are
blame.
you talking about the voters?
I'm talking about voters. I'm talking about
Okay.
Trump
I was
voters.
talking specifically about the elected officials, but go on
Oh, well,
first.
elected officials have money and power to gain. Well,
I'll get to that.
that's a whole different one. Money, power, loss of power. Right now, Trump has proven if you go against him, you're done in the political arena. Look at Liz Cheney, for instance, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just Jeff Flake is another good example. You're just done. Like, this is it. Your career is over for as long as Trump exists. So these people
Right.
like JD Vance, who once called him Hitler, realize that I actually need this guy to be relevant, or I am not going to exist in politics anymore. So it is out of fear, I believe, mostly fear and power or lack of power, that these people are allowing Trump to do what he's doing um, from the Republican side.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
So
Go ahead.
it makes me curious about it because we're seeing this is circling back to the constitutional crisis conversation from the outset. But when you defy a judge's order,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
and you eventually show that you are the impotent arm of the government
Mm-hmm.
and no one will help you.
Right.
Congress isn't going to help you. The Senate's not going to chime in. Military acts on executive order, so you can't do anything. They're going to defy your judgment. Circling back to the 14th, his executive order made in no uncertain terms, I do not care what the 14th says. If you were born in this country illegally, you are not a citizen.
Right.
When the judges come back and tell him that he's insane on that, even if SCOTUS says, no, you're wrong, and he has executive and Congress and the Senate on his side saying, we just don't care, what happens then?
Yeah, we're gonna find out, because
And
it is.
then because the next thing, I mean, I can't, maybe not the next thing, but the last thing that he will attempt, if given that opportunity for this presidential cycle, the 2024-28 cycle, is he'll say that the amendment barring me to two presidential terms doesn't apply. I just don't care. I'm running again, and what the fuck are you going to do about it? He's going to be 80 something, so maybe he
82,
won't,
whatever. No, I think he would.
but he certainly could.
I think if he's still alive, which odds are not very good that Trump will be alive to run again. I mean, that's just the way numbers
Look,
work, is that he's past the age of the average life expectancy already of a man of his weight, of his health. Um,
does that matter? I mean, I think he showed in this campaign in 24 that he was already in cognitive decline. I think we talked about it in the pod. I think I wrote a blog post about it on bluesedition.com. Go check us out if you haven't. And I think that it was pretty clear, and I think a lot of the news sources that I cited in that article made it clear that he was in cognitive decline at the outset of this this campaign. If he's defying the Constitution and running for a third term anyway, does it matter if his brain's mush and he can't talk anymore? He
Well, I
dipped
think
out
it
of the
does.
second.
Yeah.
He
Well,
dropped out of the second debate with Kamala Harris because he couldn't continue talking. He just couldn't do it. He didn't
his
have the
vocabulary
wherewithal.
is way worse than it used to be, right? Like it's I feel like you're right. He's reminding me of Biden
Yeah,
in 2021, right? When he first took a, there was a huge difference between Biden in 2021 where we still saw,
today.
you and I saw,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this guy is in decline. And
yeah,
the Biden that we saw 6 months ago, who was clearly done. Nobody was
yeah.
voting for that guy. So the only
No,
point I will make to that though is that when that happens to Trump, somebody is going to be there to grab that power because they're not going to allow Trump just won't have nobody will be afraid of him anymore. Nobody's afraid of Biden. You know, maybe 8 years ago, people were afraid of Biden as a leader, as a strong leader of the Democratic Party who had some pull, who could call in some favors. Trump is not going to be able to pick up the phone and drool into it and threaten anybody. It's somebody else is going to be around that's going to want to grab that power. I don't think Trump is going to attempt a third.
I think he will. Here's what
Okay.
I think.
All right.
If he's alive and he can muster a sentence or two, they will ram him through the RNC and just say that he's the nominee. Too bad. And that, like you say, the vice president or whoever will ostensibly be pulling the strings. They'll just be like, he's a figurehead, and we're just going to run everything through him because I don't think that this party continues
Oh,
with the
I
success that
agree with
it's
that.
seeing without Trump.
Unless all of MAGA can agree to, like, Trump gives his full-throated endorsement
Yeah, yeah. If he gives a
to,
full-throated endorsement and this is the guy, and then it somehow rallies everyone behind him. But I'll point out, even in like MAGA controlled Congress, we had infighting amongst the MAGA people and
sure,
the regular Republicans, and they all feared, Trump's retribution if they didn't
regular,
eventually get.
yeah, regular Republicans want their party back. They do. I mean, the Republicans that the Mitch McConnell Republicans, the ones that know there's backroom deals to be made, there's money to be made, there's power to be had, want the party back from the loud idiots like Marjorie Taylor Greene and
Yeah,
Lauren Boebert, because those people can't do that stuff correctly. They're not smart enough. They're idiots, and they want their party back.
I'll say that I don't think that matters anymore. I mean,
Uh,
we elected a president who's a felon, so I don't think that scruples are the problem.
No, it's
Um,
not scruples, but it is about being able to navigate the political landscape in a way. Matt Gaetz is a perfect example. He blew it. Like Gaetz just blew it. I mean, other than being a sexual deviant, I mean, he could have been set for the rest of his life, and maybe he still is, but he's now anchoring an OAN, show.
Yeah,
So
maybe it's easier for him, but I'll counter to that with I think that Matt Gaetz just didn't have the gumption to do it. If he were Trump, if Trump were Matt Gaetz in that position, he just would have continued denying and moved forward and eventually been the AG. He wouldn't have cared. And he wouldn't have cared that he didn't have the votes and people were threatening. He would just gotten louder and louder and louder until it
no, yeah,
happened.
yeah, yeah. That's what I mean though. He had the ability to be like a Mitch McConnell type Republican. Instead, he went to be a Trump like Republican, and not a lot of people are Trump like, is what I'm saying. I just
I
don't
agree.
think.
That is the one saving grace is that I have not in my lifetime seen any Republican muster the type of following that Trump has.
Yeah, it's
And
just
and
I
while
don't think.
that's terrifying and
Yeah,
ultimately terrible for the country, the good news is that he'll be dead soon.
yeah, and
Where
I don't
other
think a Marjorie Taylor Greene type of person or a Lauren Boebert type of person has the
can build a ship strong.
capabilities to rise to that kind of level. So
Right.
I feel
I
crazy though for arguing with you, considering what we're seeing today, on what's going on. I feel crazy for saying there is no possible way we will even see remote. There's no remote possibility of a third Trump term. I feel crazy for arguing that, but I'm sticking to that. I'm gonna die on
I
that hill.
okay, and I hope you're right. I really do. I hope that where there's a normal like an admin from the past, the moment a federal judge that you didn't like or otherwise said what you're doing is unconstitutional, you would have held a press conference and said, like, I disagree on these grounds and blah blah blah, but we'll see them in court because that's the right thing to do.
Which is
And it
essentially
would
what
have
Biden did with the college,
yeah,
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 forgiveness, yeah.
yeah. So that's the normal thing to do. So yeah, and I think at some point, so I still know Republicans who thought that, and I'll say fiscally conservative Republicans who
Right.
thought that Trump was still going to be reined in. His first term wasn't that bad except for COVID. It's not going to be a constitutional crisis like you're all acting like it'll be. Who are now seeing this and going, oh, okay, there's no way I can support the destroying of the United States Constitution. I mean, this is what makes our country great.
I admit it that I'm not on social media as much anymore, and I try not to be. I kind of have to be for this, but I don't see social media of a lot of the people around me, I'll say, or the people in my extended family as much. I see them a little bit. Sometimes I can't avoid it, but I have not seen people distancing themselves from this decision.
I think it's
I
too
have
early.
seen, I have seen many Republicans, and I think I pointed this out during the campaign season. Many Republicans in my orbit who are like, that's not a Republican. I can't vote for him. I'm
Yeah.
just not going to vote.
Yeah.
Which was amazing to me because I was like, wow, you still have some political scruples and some lines you won't cross, which is not something I thought Republicans had by and large. But I mean, I'm the very few people that I know are Trump supporters have not backed away from this at all.
I know Trump supporters are still, they're gonna die with Trump in my opinion, and I think a lot of them will disappear from the political process. A lot of them will stay and be idiots and weirdos. But you're right. I have only seen a few people that I know kind of starting to back away a little bit from this or start questioning what's going on.
Yeah.
But I think as we get deeper into it, it's still a little early, but I think as we get deeper into this and constitutional crisis really ramps up, I think a lot more people, I can only hope, are going to
see the light. I mean, I don't even know.
I mean,
is it too far gone even at this point? I wonder, because like I said, we're going to see the constitutional crisis. We're there. We're living it. It's happening.
I mean, this is what's worrisome, right? CBS News poll: Trump has positive approval amid energetic opening weeks, seen as doing what he promised.
He is. I can't argue that. He's doing what he promised. He's trying to deport people, American citizens, excuse me. He's trying to overturn the 14th Amendment. He's trying to fire everyone from the federal government. He promised all these things.
Now, here's the point. This is an interesting contrast, though, in this poll. 70% say that he is doing what he's promised, as opposed to 30% saying otherwise. But the reason why his approval rating is lower than the number of people who are saying he's doing what he promised is because a lot of the people that voted for him said he won't do all of that, and I don't want him to. And now look.
Yeah. We talked about this yesterday, I think. But like I know several, first generation Mexican American immigrants who have children who are national citizens legally because they were born in America. And they voted for Trump, even though them and their children, who are adults now, are threatened to be deported by him. And I haven't seen any of that remorse yet. Now, admittedly, they haven't gotten the letter in the mail, or they haven't had ICE knock on their door yet. But that's what he promised. He promised you that he was going to have ICE knock on your door, throw you in a van, take you to a detention center somewhere, an internment camp more like, and then deport you to
And this
where? Not clear.
and this is some of the problem here as I bring up the numbers for Trump's approval rating of deporting immigrants illegally in the US is that more people approve of him doing this than approve of Trump overall. And that
Yeah.
means, well,
No,
that's a
what they
scary
say
thing.
is that, but this is, I mean, I have to imagine that these are white people ostensibly
Right.
who are like, yes, I don't care if it's technically illegal, you should deport the Mexicans. That's just their stance on it. They don't care if it's legal or not, which is why the court orders that'll come out about the reading of the 14th soon, saying you may not do this, and him ignoring that and Congress not impeaching him for violating the court order is such a problem. It means the Constitution only means what the president thinks it means.
Right. I can't believe that we haven't talked about Trump saying that he's basically going to take over Gaza.
Whatever. We talked about Greenland. We should talk about Gaza.
So recently, I don't know his exact quote, but recently he said something to the effect of, it's already flattened. We're gonna go in there, we're gonna clean it up, we're gonna flatten it out the rest of it.
Yeah.
We're gonna build a nice area. The U.S. is gonna take it over and manage it.
I've got two quotes here. I believe that these were both in roundtable settings in the Oval Office where he was taking questions. Reporter says, some people say that this is ethnic cleansing. Trump responds, we're moving them to a beautiful location where they'll have new homes, where they can live safely, where they will have doctors and medical and all those things. What the fuck? What are you talking about?
Where?
Why would Gazans want to be relocated? A, and B, where is this place? Are you sending them to heaven? Is that what's happening?
Well, I mean, so I know that he is meeting with leaders from Jordan.
Yes,
Either
yeah.
today or tomorrow. He's going to try and make some quote unquote deal where he's going to relocate
Yeah.
Palestinians to these other
And
countries.
it's going to be the same. Let's say that it's successful. Let's say that he finds, a small city state for the remaining Gazans, which, they've basically wiped 90% of them off the map at this point. But you find that place, it's in Jordan instead of, the West Bank. How is that not the same problem in a different country now? Like, doesn't that just feel like you've just moved the ethnic cleansing from here to there and we'll deal with it later?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
I don't
even.
understand. The plan makes no sense.
Not only does the plan make no sense, but at least this is something it looks like the vast majority of people in the United States disagree with,
Yeah,
or at least don't understand. Only 13% of people think it would be a good idea for the U.S. to take over Gaza.
right. I mean,
Um,
and it's the same argument that we heard on the campaign trail about the migrant issue, where we're just like, okay, how about this? How about the United States absorb the Gazans who are displaced? We'll put them in America somewhere. People are going to be like, we don't want them here. Why would we want them here? And they go, well, why would Jordan want them there? Like, don't they had a place that got bombed to hell by Israel, but they
I,
were there. They existed. Never
I
mind.
mean, what they deserve, what the people there deserve, the Palestinians there deserve, is being able to come home and reparations being made. Just like any conflict where there was a party that did significant damage. Um, and I think that was part of what they thought they were getting in this ceasefire deal. And there was a lot of excitement and hope from people on the ground in Gaza.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of reports of press who, by the way, have been targeted in Gaza. Wearing a press vest basically almost made you more of a target.
Yeah, and humanitarian effort
Yeah.
and things like that. Just people trying to feed people. People trying
Um,
to like you said, just trying to provide medical support. People are trying to report on just what exactly is happening, get
Yeah.
some numbers and feet on the ground.
And I think we talked, I don't know if we talked about it on the pod last week, but there was also that, I believe it was like American Arabs for Trump, that
Yeah.
changed their name, to American Arabs for Peace, or whatever it was.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have to say, I just wanted to say this. Because I don't remember if we talked about it last week, but it says something. First of all, I don't want to tell those people I told you so, because for what
Yeah.
they're going through is just awful, right?
Right.
But it also says something about how shitty the Democratic Party is, that those people thought it would be better for them under Trump, when we all knew it wouldn't be. And I think that we shared.
I think that it speaks to his gravitas, where he's a political outsider, even still having been the president once before and now again. I think that there are people who are like, the Dems and the Republicans alike have proven to me by their action or inaction that they will not help me.
But
I will take any unknown over the known, ignorance that I get from them.
But I do not want to give him all of the credit for pulling those people. I need to give a lot of credit to the Democratic Party for kicking these people away.
Pushing them away.
And there was a report, and I'm showing it on the screen right now, where one of the first replies is "Holy living fuck." The Harris campaign organizer says that senior officials ordered them to erase voters who asked about Gaza, just asked about Gaza, marking emails as no response so that they'd be removed from outreach. No engagement, no persuasion, just completely ignore.
That's what we're talking about here. I mean, this is just it's the parties, it's both parties, but it's also the Democrats. You're refusing to find people and put them in your tent. You can help people. And I don't think that that's going to be a negative thing on the campaign trail, right?
This is such a fiery.
It's such an easy political W.
Right. This was so easy to us, you and I, who don't get funding from APAC,
Right.
or anything,
Yeah.
right? Like, you look at this
Yeah.
and you go, I am never going to make a Zionist happy. I am never going to make
No.
any sort of extremists happy. But what I can say, as a member of the Democratic Party who stands for human rights, who should be against genocide in any form against any people,
Yeah.
we are going to do everything we can to stop this massacre, to come to a peaceful resolution. How hard is it to say that to people who ask you about Gaza?
And I think that you and I even said it during the campaign run up in the pod, where we're like, go behind, the closed doors, go talk to APAC and say, I'm just going to say this, but I'm not going to do it. And then you go out and say it and you win this big rally about it, and everybody keeps quiet because it's good for the gander, right? And then you just do the same thing Democrats always do, which is nothing.
Anyway.
And then everybody wins. It's a campaign win.
Well, no,
the Gazans feel heard.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not good for people, but
not good for people.
Why wouldn't you even do that? And like, this is just such an abdication of your campaign. This is like
of your
trying to lose
responsibility as leaders of the Democratic Party. And this is why, you got to give a lot of credit to the poorly educated. You got to give a lot of credit to Trump's weird charisma and cult-like ability to drag people in and get them lost in his hypnotizing routine that he does. But you also have to give so much credit to the Democratic Party. I'll put them third on the list, but you still got to give them credit to the Democratic Party for consistently non-delivering and having terrible messaging. I mean,
it says it here. They saw an opportunity to increase scope and include people into the campaign, and they just threw them away. I mean, it doesn't get worse than that. That's trying to lose an election.
It really feels like it. Okay, so we had a couple more things. I mean, I can't believe we're already at the hour mark.
Oh, I have so many things that I need to talk about, but
what do we need to talk about? I mean, we might
I
have
don't
to do
even
two
think I'm going to
pods
get
this
to
week.
Elon today. I had a bunch of shit that I
Oh
wanted to
my
talk
god.
about Elon, and I don't think I'm going to get there.
Let's just you want to just do that one real do you want to do the sequel one real quick?
Let's
Okay.
do that one. At least that one's much more in our
Did
wheelhouse,
you
and we
think,
can
by the
kind of.
way, that at any point, maybe 4 weeks ago, that I would tell you in 4 weeks I'm going to be talking about a guy named Big Balls, because he is going to play a
Yeah, yeah.
significant role in the U.S. government. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, God.
So
All
I
right,
don't know.
what am I looking?
So you're looking at here, well, a quote within a quote within a quote. Um, I think by now everybody who at least listens to this pod knows that Elon Musk and his team of tweens, no, his team of young 20-year-old racist engineers or
I think Big
engineer.
Balls is only 19.
No, I think it turns out he was 25 and he was 19 when that stuff happened
Oh,
or
when that
something like that.
photo was taken?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
I don't
right.
I think I honestly I can't spend my
I'm
time
hearing a
searching
lot of
big
weird
balls
stuff. Yeah.
on Google because I was getting other results.
Look up
Um
Big Balls on your
yeah,
work
like
computer.
I need to see the doctor. So long and short of it is Elon as many times over his career in the public view said some really stupid shit that make people like you and I, for instance, who are
Yes.
in tech, and other people who are leaders in their field go, oh, this guy actually has no clue what the fuck he's talking about in this particular field. Elon, we were talked earlier about there not being like another Trump. I think Elon is very similar to Trump actually in a lot of ways, and that he will basically say whatever he wants with authority, and you will get some sense that what he's saying is true, because why wouldn't it be true? He's a billionaire, he has an accent,
Right.
he owns very intelligent, looking companies,
Yeah, his
SpaceX,
brand is
Tesla.
one of
Right.
like a Tony Stark-esque, where people are like,
Right.
"Oh, he must know stuff because look how successful he is. He's got to
Yeah,
be a
he's a
smart guy."
genius. Right. Yeah.
Which which I have fallen for when people like act smart and talk smart, and you feel like, oh yeah, this guy must know what he's talking about, because you never get a one-on-one where you actually get to talk ideas or beliefs or opinion
Hell,
or
I
anything.
use that sometimes to my advantage in places where I can, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes we have to in tech. We have to talk about things that we're not quite sure about, but we know that we can back it up eventually with research and whatever. Okay, fine.
right, yeah, fine.
Um, Elon Musk was recently talking about the Social Security database and saying that Social Security numbers are not deduplicated, and all of this weird stuff about how the data is laid out. And somebody quote tweets him and says, "Today I learned that Elon has never used SQL or SQL." And
Structured query language, just in case
for those of
anybody
you who are
really
not
wants
tech
to dig
savvy,
into it.
and this is basically the query language that most major databases use,
It's been the
right?
de facto language, whatever dialect you use,
Right,
across data storage for the last 40 years. This isn't
right.
even new.
And there's really there's like three major players
Right,
in this
right.
area, and all of them use SQL, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
Elon responds with his favorite word lately, the politically incorrect retard.
why are we bringing this back? Why?
I don't know why. I don't know
Nobody
why.
used this word for 20 years, basically, in
I
the
will tell you,
mainstream,
I made the
and now we're just
mistake.
using it again.
I made the mistake of going on Twitter. I still have like a personal account that I never
Yeah,
use.
yeah.
And every once in a while I log in and I go, why did I accidentally log into this? And I see something that enrages me so much that I have to make a well thought out response to it, and I give it. And the first response back to me every single time is, shut the F up, retard. And
Nice.
that's what
Very
political discourse is on X. So don't go on X. But anyway,
got it. It's
Elon,
got everything.
it X the Everything app only has people calling each other retard because that's what Elon Musk does now. So Elon Musk responds with, this retard thinks the government uses SQL. Okay. And let's just share I like the
Here's the
scribbles.
screen.
I like the scribbles that you make. As it as it turns out, the Treasury Department, the Social Security Administration, basically, the as far as I know, the DMV, NASA, any government agency that needs to store data in some structured form uses SQL.
This happens to be MySQL. It's one of the three big players in that space, like Nate said. But I mean, look at this MySQL customers in government list, and he's like, the this retard thinks that the Social Security Administration uses SQL, and I found this on without searching for 1 second, and I saw the badge, and I just started circling it so angrily, and I sent it to Nate. I didn't think you were going to use it.
No, I know. This was
Here, but-
perfect. I think this is a perfect visual. I do, but,
Oh, my
but
rage.
this is the example of it's the same thing. Who was it? Some more news. I love a huge shout out to
Yeah,
to
shout out to
Cody
Cody
and
and
Katie and everybody at,
Yeah.
and Jonathan is also there. Huge shout out to those guys at Some More News. They did a great
They do
episode.
great work. Go check them out.
We'll I think we posted it on our Blueski. They did a great
Yeah.
episode last week on Elon Musk thinks you're an idiot. When the reality is, Elon Musk is an idiot. I'm sorry. You can turn around and say, how can he be an idiot with billions of dollars? And yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to.
We're all wondering that.
You have to be. It's because there's a chart that is like sociopath and motivation and willingness to say things like that. Like that is what makes you a billionaire, not. And then there are other billionaires who
actually
are
speaks really well to what you said before about him being sort of, Trumpian or Trump-like, where it's just like there's a certain just willingness to say whatever,
right,
and say it with such authority and such like magnanimism that you get people to believe you who don't really know 100%. Like you said, like they're like, I know like 10% what you're saying, but you're saying it with such conviction and such obvious like belief in yourself,
right,
that you must know what you're talking about.
I think Cody gave a great example of like the Roman Empire. Like he was talking about birth.
His salute?
No, not the salute. No, Cody gave an example of the Roman Empire.
The birth rate thing.
The birth rate thing. And Elon saying that was basically the downfall of the Roman Empire. And then historians were like, are you stupid or something? Are you?
There was like 180 years between that event and the fall of the Roman Empire.
And like literally nothing to do with it. And we see him in all kinds of other. When he said that crap about chess, we were on him immediately.
Yeah. Anything, and again, I use SQL every fucking day. I've had to do it for 40 years. Like
we've done government work. We have done government work. You and I have specifically done government work. So, oh man. And
it's just so infuriating because he says it like tongue in cheek, but it's the most obviously false statement.
It's
like
so
he thinks he's like he's got you. Like he's like,
this
guy, what an idiot. And it's like, you're so dumb for saying that.
If you read any book not sponsored by Elon himself, like whoever the biography writers are, if you read any book about Elon and his businesses, I think the most recent really good book was called Character Limit, which I really enjoyed. You will find hundreds of examples of people working within these companies going, what the fuck did
figuring it out very slowly, going, what did he say?
You
didn't say that. I misheard that. What did he say?
So I mean, there's engineers at SpaceX have come out and said Elon doesn't run this. Twitter, he doesn't work here. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has a elementary knowledge of any of this stuff. Same at Tesla. And then he comes out and tries to say, I don't buy companies. I build them from scratch. And the reality is he doesn't do that. He hasn't. Yeah. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Not him, apparently.
Not him, I guess. I am going to come out and say, Mike, I think we might have to do another episode this week because not only do we have so much more left today that we could have talked about, I think by the time we get to like Thursday, We're going to probably hear some things from the federal courts.
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
gonna
tomorrow the deadline for that ruling for the government to acquiesce to the federal court's order is midnight tonight
I'm
Eastern.
so excited.
Well, tomorrow
It's
something's
so
going to
exciting.
happen.
I'd like to be living in another country and experiencing how exciting this is, but here we are. I will tell you, we were worried that the writers of the previous season of America were getting a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
Shit's gotten wild. They really picked it up for this season. I gotta give it to them. I didn't expect
Right.
all these twists and turns.
I didn't expect violates Constitution and government bends over. Like I didn't have that on my bingo card.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
early on I was talking about the 14th as our last saving grace, and they're just not going to do anything when he violates it.
they're just gonna ignore the Constitution. And this is the party of law and order, right? Never has been. Okay, I think this is a good place to wrap. Maybe I'd really like to come back with another episode. Maybe we can try and pull one out on Thursday or Friday or something.
We'll try and give it a shot. We'll give it the old college try.
We'll give it the old college try. Although Friday is Valentine's Day. I don't know if you want to hear from us on Valentine's Day. But maybe we could do a special Valentine's Day episode. Okay, everyone. We said in the beginning of the episode, but we'll say it one more time. Help us out. It was really great. I think we crossed 100 subscribers. We've only been around doing this for a couple months now.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So thank you for the 100 subscribers. We picked up like 6 or 7 subscribers last week. We don't do anything. We don't have any advertisers. We're not pushing ourselves out there. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Apple. We're on YouTube. We're not trying to make a living out of this. But we do really enjoy it. And we love talking to people about politics as long as, it doesn't get too crazy.
As long as you don't call us retards.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Be civil and I'll talk to you.
I mean,
we got a lot of comments in the last video. I will say on the YouTube channel, we had a lot of comments and a lot of people that you and I both did have conversations with. So it was very nice. Leave comments. We all know, we can be civil about this and disagree. We've had people on the pod before who live commented with us who we just don't see, eye to eye on things, but we can talk in a way where we can hopefully make each other understand our positions without, being completely offensive people.
Yeah. I mean,
let's give it a shot.
That's the other thing too, is we are definitely gonna start looking to have reached out to a couple of people I'd love to have on. Although one of them is kind of blown up recently, and I don't know if I can still get her, but we'll try. As we're still lowly on the totem pole.
We're new,
we're still new at this thing, and we're still learning as we go too. But if you guys have anybody you'd like to see on, any topics you'd like us to cover more in depth, leave comments, shoot us a message on Blue Sky. That's where we're most likely to respond, or in a comment here, and we'll do our best. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.